going. Gotta wait for some people to come in here. Let me just get primed up for a minute. Ah, Jesus. Coffee's still hot. Just made it. Right. That's it. We're live. We're live. I'm looking for everyone else, okay? Brett, what's up, bro? Is everything here? Why is this thing glitchy? I don't get it. Every time. Here, let me turn this around. There we go. Kick it back around. It's still all choppy. I don't like that. I know you guys don't like it either. It's tough enough when you gotta bear with my terrible live stream skills. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. I mean, it's being slow. Maybe it's because it's raining outside. Anyway, I'm gonna get primed up. What is going on? Buffering like crazy. Why? Come on. Come on, babe. Come on. Come on. Here. Hey, why is it buffering like this? I don't get it. How do you guys? I'm getting frustrated. It's been going on now for a couple of weeks. This is what I'm dealing with here. Look. Look. No connection. I got plenty of good internet. Come on. Here, I'm almost there. Bear with me. This will give more people time to come in. We got about 18. We lost 2. That's fine. Oh, that's why I'm connected to the crappy network. Here, let me try this one. Come on. This usually doesn't take this long. I apologize for those of you guys who are new here. What is going on? I know it's coming across I'm irritated. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm a little irritated. Just tired. Come on. Yeah, the picture looks alright. It looks like we. And this. How's it looking now? Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? We good? Good? It looks so glitchy. I don't know why. For some reason, this stream just wants to be difficult. Come on. You guys can see and hear me okay? Alright. Well, I got the connection so I can see you guys now. So I guess with all that being said, let's finally get into the show. What's going on, guys? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to another episode of Lawn Fires, where the fires are hot, the lawns are green, and the questions are engaging. So for those of you guys who are new here, basically what this is it's a weekly live show that I like to do on Friday night, every Friday, around 6 p.m., where I actually sit and I answer all of your questions live in real time via YouTube chat, Fireside. Now tonight you'll notice I don't have a fire. I'm actually sitting in my room, sitting on my little couch here in the corner. You guys really don't see this angle of my room, so this will be a little different for you guys. But anyway, I'm in here because we actually have a really big storm outside. In fact, it looks like, oh my God, it's like threatening. I'll show it to you guys. I'll show it to you guys a little bit later. But anyway, um, it's coming down pretty hard. We got lightning, and the clouds are just they're black. So that's what we're dealing with here. So yeah, if you have any questions, for those of you guys who are new here, basically how this works is if you have any questions that you would like to ask me, all you have to do is put them in the YouTube chat here, and the way you do that is you go below the video and you look for the live chat icon, press on that, and then once you're in there, you can go ahead and click the chat publicly as whatever your username is, put your comment or question in there, and then from there I can go ahead and start answering your questions. Now keep in mind, I may not know the answer to all of your questions as I am a 17-year-old, right? I know a lot because I've learned a lot over the years, but I don't know the answer to all of your questions because that's just how it is, right? My knowledge range is a little different compared to you guys, but if you guys don't know, if I don't know the answer to your question, just know that I know people who can help me answer that question later on. So your best bet in that case would be to email me. Now I'll leave my email in the chat throughout if you want to check that out. That way we will be able to I'll leave my email in the chat if you want to check that out, and then from there we will be able to get that worked out and follow up with you guys on any of your questions that you have. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the heart of this show, and that is going to be the comments or the questions, because that's really what this show is for. That's for you guys. Okay. Take a sip of coffee here, one more sip. By the way, I'm actually drinking out of my Next fertilizer cup here. I got this way back in the beginning when I got my first batch of Next products, and I gotta say, it's a brand I'm proud to drink out of. Hey Jake, I'm in Maryland with turf type tall fescue. I did a renovation 1st of September 2019. Discovered a great leaf spot in part of my lawn today. It's been unseasonably warm lately. Is it safe to treat for fungus? Good question. Well, Beod357, this is where I actually encourage you to read the label on the product that you want to use. In your case, I would say propiconazole if it's popping up in areas all throughout the lawn, because there's really no need to do a blanket application. But whatever product you're using, liquid or granular, read the label on it and see what it says in regards to seeding. Like I always say on this channel, right? When it comes to reading the label on something, it's important that you do it as label is law, and it will answer a lot of your questions. So make sure you do your part and read that label. Oh, it's a little hot. I like that. I wish we could get some of those storms here. It hasn't rained in about 20 days with record heat. Yeah, man, I feel your pain. I mean, it's actually kind of nice. I know what you mean. It's raining. It rained really hard all day today, and on top of that, we're getting really cool temperatures. So I'm predicting a really big progression in all the lawns up here in the Northwest. I'm really excited about it. Here we go. Got any ideas to kill moles? And I have no grubs. It's destroying my lawn. Terry Davis, my best bet to you would be what Silverback has recommended to me over the years, and that would be to put down some traps. And to be honest with you, I'm not really sure about those technologies, but I recommend you put a trap down to trap those guys and keep them from getting anywhere. That's just the safest way to do it. Especially if you got kids running around. Just make sure they don't go by the traps, obviously, but you get it. Man. I gotta say, my allergies are going crazy, too. How did you get started in lawn care, Marshall William asks. Well, Marshall Williams, it actually started a long time ago. Back when I was in 3rd grade, I wasn't a very social kid in school, right? In fact, I was and still is to this day naturally introverted, if that's what you call. Here, let me grab my water real quick. So, my entire childhood, I've been naturally introverted, and because of that, I haven't been comfortable talking to people. I didn't really know what to do, and on top of that, anytime I would try and talk to somebody, I always made a fool out of myself. I took things more seriously than they should have been, and because of that, I don't know. I didn't get along well with other kids, and it got me into a lot of trouble for, you know, and I pretty much hated myself for it. But when I would get home every day, my favorite thing to do was to actually mow the lawn. Right, it was kind of a way to relieve stress for me. Right, at the end of the day, I'd get home, I'd be like, Dad, I had a rough day today. He's like, well, good news for you. If you want to exert that stress, mow the yard. Right, and in the process of doing that, I started to fall in love with it. Right, and I remember one day sitting down with my dad. I think it was a couple of years later when I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I told him, dude, I love mowing the lawn here. And he said, Jake, that's awesome. In fact, I think you should start a business you should start a lawn care business, right? And that's what I did. I did that in the summer of 2014, and on top of that, I started the YouTube channel a couple of months later in November of 2014. And originally what this was going to be is it was kind of going to be a means for me to educate my customers and tell them, why we do certain things to the lawn that we do. But then, as time went on, I started getting more involved with the channel. It started growing. I started realizing, man, this could really become something if I just nurture it, right? If I nurture it, I put out videos weekly, all sorts of things. If I just do that, I could probably get this to somewhere. And you can see, while, I consider myself somewhat there. I just know that if I keep hustling my butt off, I'll get to where I want to be, where I can possibly do this full time. But for now, it's just a little thing I do on the weekends, a little side hustle of mine. I love side hustle, screw that word, side passion. That's how I think about this, side passion. Alright. I know I'm probably boring you guys to death right now, I'm sorry. I'm so tired. It's been a rough week. I have all my adult friends come in here. Jake, what are you talking about, rough week? You go to school, right? Well, that's what I signed up for. Let's see what we got here. Morty, is there any danger in over-fertilizing as we head into the winter? Already nighttime temperatures are falling below freezing. Morty, it really depends on where you're located. And based on what I'm hearing, it seems like you might be located a little further north to me. If you can clarify that information, then I can help you out a little further. Any tips for Bermuda? Jay Figueroa, my best advice to you would be to just mow it low. Mow it low, and it will thank you by spreading out, by growing laterally, giving it a thicker top growth, a thicker canopy that will help block any weeds from coming into the lawn. Now, when you do that with a push mower, you don't want to go too low, because if you do, it will start to look ugly. So the lowest you can go, if you have a rotary style mower like we often use here in the community, the lowest you can go is about an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter. But then when you want to get lower, then we start talking about real mowers and along those lines. And when you go that route, that's when you want to consider making sure that your ground is level, so that you're not so that you're not exposing the high spots in the lawn by scalping them out, because that's what will happen over time. So you want to make sure that if you do decide to go with a real mower, level the lawn out, you should be all right. Hey Jake, I believe I had fungus and had a ton of dead, melted out grass between the good grass throughout. I just cut down to 2 inches. I think you should be fine, Michael. Just keep watering, fertilizing like normal, and you should be all right. So wait, real quick, Michael, just to clarify, I had fungus and I had a lot of dead, melted out grass. Are you talking about dead areas that are just laying over in the middle of the yard? Because if that's the case, then yeah, I would want to remove that as soon as possible. You guys know how much I love to use the liquid dethatch product, but for this case, we're a little tight on time for that, so I highly recommend that you just get out there with a rake by hand, rake that stuff out. If it looks like a bare spot in the middle of the yard with dead grass laying over, then I would rake that out, and then if you can, I'd get some seed in there, preferably something that's going to germinate a little bit faster. Like if you're a cool season guy, that's going to be perennial ryegrass, tall fescue. Those germinate within 7 to 10 days. So put those down, you should be fine. Coffee's still hot. By the way, I know I'm a little out of it right now, but I'll gradually get into it as we go. I mean, I'm just starting with my coffee here. Hey, hello, Jake. I'm the one with the 40-year-old tall fescue that I've been restoring this year. You wanted to work with me. You wanted to work on it. I got my Carbon X and build box today. What is the best way to contact you? Minow TV. I will leave my email here in the chat. Email me here, sullivanjacob68@gmail.com. I'm sure eventually I'll have to get a jakethelongkid@gmail.com, but I don't have that yet, so maybe in the off season that'll be a priority of mine. But anyway, email me at this email here. I left it at the bottom of the chat, Manow, and then I'll get back to your email as soon as I can. Probably sometime tomorrow morning, if I can get to it. So yeah, check that out. Links down there. It'll help you out. Let's take this off. I can't stand it. Nose is stuffy today. Jesus. Alright, that's better. Terry Davis. I have done trap worms, granules. I've seen while people sit around and wait until to see the ground moves, they use a shovel and dig them out. I ain't got time for that. Yeah, Terry Davis. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know much as far as mechanical and chemical means to actually get them out of there. I guess that's where you yourself is going to have to experiment. If I knew anybody, I direct you in their direction. But unfortunately I don't know anybody who specializes in rat traps, except for Silverback, who's not here tonight. He's actually at the gym right now, getting buff for GIE. I'm sure he'll come in and have a little fun with us tonight. Just not right now. Where are the hot dogs? Anthony J. Barton? They're upstairs right now. I'll have to go get them in a little bit once I wake up a little here. Miguel Zamora. How can we recover from the heat in the St. Augustine grass in Texas? 90-degree weather. Miguel Zamora. So for those of you guys who don't know, St. Augustine grass, it is a warm season grass, and basically what that means, especially in areas like Texas, is that it actually favors the heat. Now, my biggest recommendation to you would be, if you're noticing any stress in your St. Augustine, would be to kick your watering up a notch. In fact, as you guys have seen on the channel, I recommend you water 2 to 3 times a week, a ½ inch each time. Doing so will allow the lawn to, number one, dry out, and number two, also allow us to get the soil wet, but not too wet to a point where we're coddling the lawn. And by watering deep and infrequent like that, we're actually going to allow the root system to grow deeper. Because one thing I want you guys to realize here, and now I know this is going to confuse some of you guys because I'm in the overseeding period right now, and one of the things I'm preaching a lot of right now is actually watering 3 times a day and doing that for 20 minutes each watering. So it's very frequent, shallow watering. But that's only under certain circumstances. Like, for example, when you're watering your grass seed, you want to make sure that your objective there is to keep the seed moist. Whereas when you're watering your lawn in general, your goal is to water it to a point where, number one, you don't oversaturate it, and number two, you encourage it to push deeper roots. Because what can happen is when you water the lawn too frequently for less minutes, per se, what can happen is, the soil get oversaturated, kind of like it is when you overseed it. And on top of that, the roots are not going to grow deep because the water, instead of going down deep where it should be going to water deep, it will actually stay at the top of the surface when you're watering shallowly, and because of that, It's going to train the roots to do what I call the koi pond effect, which means that over time, instead of going down, they're going to start going back up where the water is. It's kind of like a koi pond, right? The fish are going to go up to the surface where the food is that you threw in. It's the same with watering. So the best thing I could recommend to you, my friend in Texas, Miguel, I believe your name is. I'm sorry if I forgot it. Yeah, Miguel. My best bet to you would be to just water your lawn like normal. So 2 to 3 times a week, half inch each time. Done videos on that, so if you want to check that out. Aiden, my moderator here, if you'd be so kind, please link below to the video I did on how to properly water the lawn. And if you're also struggling with how to keep the lawn irrigated regularly because of your busy schedule, Aiden, also leave a link to my DIY sprinkler system video. I'd really appreciate that, brother. Let's help my buddy. Let's help my buddy out here. Polsky Henson. Redid my backyard last year, nuked it, and started fresh. Put down all Kentucky bluegrass from seed superstore. Looked awesome in the spring, but I didn't water in July. Looked rough and hasn't recovered. This is a tough one. Okay. So you put down, so what I'm able to gather here, Polsky, is you put down your grass seed in the spring, which is a KBG mix from Seed Superstore. By the way, if you don't mind me asking, what type of mix was that? And looked awesome in the spring, but then I didn't water in July. Yeah, that might be a problem, because what I want you guys to realize is that, especially when you're trying to grow grass type like Kentucky bluegrass, if there's one thing that Kentucky bluegrass is notorious for, it's the fact that it doesn't have to grow. It's the fact that it takes a really long time to actually germinate. In fact, it takes about 21 days to actually see germination. And because of that, the time that you have to spend watering it is actually extended compared to when you water a fescue and a ryegrass lawn. So a good example would be if you tall fescue and perennial rye, those germinate in typically 5 to 10 days. So you can get away with water in those 30 days, and then after that you can start to transition back to a normal watering. Whereas if you're dealing with bluegrass, which is, you know, very famous for taking really long time to germinate, again about 21 days, then I recommend you water it every day for 6 weeks, right? No doubt about it. Every day, 6 weeks, 20 minutes each time, three times a day, 20 minutes each time. If you do that, you should be fine. But as far as what you could do to fix it, my best bet to you would be, hang on a second. It's so much harder to do this live, especially at the end of the night. My best bet to you would be, if you can, maybe seed in some grass that will germinate a little bit faster, like maybe some rye and some fescue, and then just make sure that from here you commit to watering it. Because I'm telling you, if you start now, you have plenty of time. Because if you start now, you'll at least have until the 21st of October, which is when things should be finished and established and definitely looking good. So you got some time to get some stuff in there. So if I were you, I'd take advantage of that, Polsky. Do that, you should be fine. Good question, though. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Jake, do you know where I can get Pro Vista Kentucky Bluegrass in C form? I'm in Pennsylvania, B, and the closest dealer is 3 hours away, and they're also geared to professionals and selling sod. Hurst GN, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know where the best place to get it's from. I mean, I was originally going to do some project with them this year, but I don't know. I just never got into looking at where they sell them, so I'm not entirely sure on that. I can't speak on that. Hey Jake, did you ever get a chance to check out that Typhoon 2-volt sprayer I told you about a couple of weeks ago? BO'd? I did not. In fact, if you could be so kind, could you please leave a link to it? I'll check it out after this is over. Hot, long pants and a flannel shirt? Yeah, well I got these studio lights on me too. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna pop this window open a little bit, get some cold air in here. Problem is, there we go. It'll get a little cooler in here. Aiden, thanks for putting that drought stress video in. That's an extra step, man. Appreciate it. Wasn't clear. Put it down in last fall. Outside of Chicago, it's the Seed Superstore Pure KBG Mix. Okay, so if I had to guess, maybe Everest? Is that what it's called, Everest? Because that's like the top of the line bluegrass that they make over there at Seed Superstore. Not sure which is in there. It's been wet here now. I've been feeding it, but it still looks brown. Okay. So, Polsky, here's what I recommend. Once again, get some different cultivars in there, like I talked about, maybe some fescue and some rye, because I'm telling you, those two grass types, they take very little time to germinate, and they will look really good. They'll assist that bluegrass that you have in there. So, if you do that, you should be fine. But on top of that, if you notice things are looking a little brown, then my best bet to you, because when you say brown, I'm going to assume that you're saying that. Oh God! I'm going to assume that what you're telling me is that the lawn is dry. It's not getting enough water. So my recommendation to you would be to make sure that you get your irrigation in line. So once again, my buddy Aiden has left a couple of links in the chat here. A couple of very helpful ones that I really like. A couple of very helpful ones. The first one, how to water the lawn. The second one, I talk about an irrigation system that you can make for the lawn using materials from the big box store. And then the third one actually talks about what to do when your lawn goes into summer dormancy. So I highly recommend that you check out all those videos, or at least one of the three, as they will all provide value to you in some way, shape, or form as far as watering goes. Jake, can we expect another Christmas light series from you this season? Last year's display at Grandma's house was on point. Chris Thornton? Yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff up my sleeve. In fact, we're going to be doing more at my grandma's property. We're actually going to be adding on to the display, lighting it up a little bit, making it a little bit more lively. So that's going to be awesome. Now, I'm not final on the plans yet, but I still got a little bit of time to make sure that things are finalized and make sure that we can get things looking good. The idea here is to make it really pop, though, because one of the things I like. Hang on, real quick. I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. I hope you guys are alright with this. So, for those of you guys who've been around for a while, you guys know that my grandma lives in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's basically secluded. I mean, she lives in unincorporated, and because of that, we got houses out there, but it's mostly like. There's a lot of trees, right? And there's also a lot of acreage per house. In fact, about 1.25 acres worth. And because of that, it's also an older neighborhood, and because of that, the neighborhood's not really lit up at night. So I like the fact that I can take advantage of that and, basically make her house the only house that's lit up, so it really stands out from all the houses out there. So that's what I think's really cool about it. So more to come on that this holiday season. Stay tuned. Jake, since you started using the Next products, do you still put down Milorganite? Steve, unfortunately, I don't use it on my lawn anymore, and it's not because of the fact that I favor Next products over Milorganite. It's more so the fact that I'm just using what I got, right? I mean, I've had bags and bags of Milorganite, but I've used them all on my project lawns. And on top of that, I've also made a commitment this year that I'm not going to be doing granular on my yard anymore, or at least for the year, like I said. But I think I'm gonna keep going with just the liquid products on my lawn, because I gotta say, for the low amounts of nitrogen I've been giving it this year, I know that it wasn't looking all that good this year. Like, I had a lot. I've been getting fried in the comments about it. A lot of you guys are like, Jake, this snake oil, your lawn looks like garbage compared to the neighbors. Well, the reason that was not the products, but that was my fault. In fact, there were some cultural practices on my end that I wasn't doing correctly. So to explain what I mean by that, what I'm trying to say is that I was cutting the lawn lower than it's used to being cut. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, when you start cutting the lawn at a certain height and you keep it there, what happens is the grass crowns the grass crowns will slowly start to come up. And for those of you who don't know what the grass crowns are, those are basically the heart of the grass plant that help hold the blades stand up so that they can absorb more sunlight. And what happens is when you let your lawn get taller over time, which I tend to do as we get later in the season, those crowns are going to lengthen as well. So, I did cut the lawn a little shorter than normal a couple of times, and because of that, it just wasn't looking pretty. So, I guess the only way out of that is to keep mowing normally, and then eventually maybe the crowns will start to go down. But because I did let them come up a little bit, because I was mowing once a week at most, it wasn't looking pretty. And because of that, it often gave off the assumption that my lawn looked depleted. Because it looked depleted, like it hadn't had any nutrients, when in reality, I was doing poor cultural practices on my part in the spring. It was growing so fast, I wasn't mowing it as frequently as I would have liked, and because of that, I had to deal with the consequence of the crowns lengthening and the grass looking brown when I cut it shorter. So the only way to get through that short term was to raise the height. I probably could have beat it out by just mowing it lower continuously, and then maybe those crowns would have gone away. But anyway, that's what that was about. But for the most part, to get back on topic, the lawn. Wow, it's really storming out. But for the most part, the lawn looks great. It looks awesome, and all I've been hitting it with this year was about a quarter to 5/8 pound of nitrogen for the entire year. So wait a minute, if I think about it, quarter pound in the spring, another quarter pound, so half pound there. Not even a pound of nitrogen for the season. We'll have to do the math later on and see how much nitrogen we'll put down. We'll probably do that at the end of the season. But for the most part, I could tell you that I haven't even gotten to I haven't even approached the 1 pound milestone yet of nitrogen on my front yard, and I gotta say, it looks really good. So I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with those products can do, and especially with the low nutrient amounts in there. Now, like I've talked about before, John Perry's philosophy, less is more, as he juices the products with chelators like humic acid to make those nutrients more readily available at those lower rates. Just waking up. Very much appreciated. Keep up the good work. Polsky, no problem. Glad I could help you. Pete D. Traglia. Jake, I am in upstate New York in Syracuse. I have a mixed lawn with KBG, fescue, and rye. The summer I have is what looks to be common. This summer I have what looks to be common Bermuda grass spreading like crazy throughout my yard. Please help. Pete Tetraglia, man, I get questions like this a lot about people who get Bermuda invading their cool season lawn. I gotta tell you, man, that I feel sorry for you. I mean, I'm not saying that to be a jerk, but I'm saying really, because Bermuda, when it's not your desired grass type, Bermuda is a good grass type. Let me just say that. It's a really good grass type, as it's what I consider alpha male, right? And what I mean by that is that it takes over everything in a matter of, just instantly takes over everything. Now, its advantages can be its detriments when you don't desire it in your lawn. So a good example of that would be like this here. It's invading your cool season lawn, and I guess your best bet would be to just hit it with Roundup. And you're going to have to do that repeatedly. Now, there are more professional blended products you can use for it too, like Pylex. But if I'm going to be super honest with you, I can't really speak too much on this because I've never dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really all that experienced with this problem. So I guess my best bet to you would be to get the products like the Pylex and the Roundup, and then just read the label, apply according to label directions. And if you want additional help, I highly recommend you check out my buddy Pete over at GCI Turf. For those of you guys who don't know who Pete is, he's like a professional in the industry, a turf professional who also caters to homeowners. And on top of that, one of the projects he's working on right now is actually at a shop. He's trying to install a really high-end Bermuda lawn, which started off with common Bermuda, and one of the problems he dealt with was getting rid of that common Bermuda. And what he actually had to do is he had to hit it with Pylex and Roundup, and it took him a couple applications, but he got it. So Yeah, that's my take on it. Don't take my word for it, but definitely read the label on the products, as the label is law. And check out Pete over there. I'm sure he'll help you out. And Matt Martin over at the Grass Factor. He has tons of experience with this stuff. He's way smarter than me when it comes to these type of weeds in the grass. So I highly recommend you check him out too. Matt Martin at the Grass Factor, the Grass Factor on YouTube. Bit stoofy. um. Whoa. I gotta say, this is pretty awesome. Subscribe to A's channel. There can't be enough lawn care channels. Jay Figueroa, I agree with you, man. I gotta say, I love this community. It's done so much good for me. Send some of that rain our way, bro. I love it. Eric Von Withel, a regular of the show. What's up, brother? How you doing? Welcome back. KGJ1119. Can I put down a fungicide 3 weeks after seeding? Now, KGJ, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure, but I highly recommend that whatever product you're using, read the label and look specifically for the section that says seeding. Now, I have a great resource for you that you can check out for this, especially if you're using a professional, or really if you're using any product. Just go to the label section on the website where that product's at. Whether it's professional grade propiconazole 14.3 from Do My Own, which Aiden, if you could link that in the chat here, that'd be much appreciated. Or if you're getting a typical bag of Scott's Disease X, which contains active ingredient azoxystrobin, which is a group 11, fungicide, different from the group 3, and the propiconazole, also different mode of action there. Just go on your computer, right, and then go to the label. And then once you get there, you want to go to your keyboard, and if you have a PC, you want to hit Control F. Whereas if you have a Mac, you want to do Command F. And when you do that, it's going to open up a little search bar, and then what you do is you type in the keywords you want to look for, like for example, seed, seeding, anything along those lines, and it'll highlight any of the words in the label that have to do with the topic that you're looking for. So if you type in seeding, it'll highlight everywhere in the label where it states anything about lawn seeding. So I highly recommend you try that. If you do, it'll make things a whole lot easier on your part. But once again, I do encourage you to read the label on the product because, as I always say, label is law, as it will answer a lot of your questions. So make sure you do your part and read that label. Make sure you do your part and read that label. Hi Jake, just want to say thank you. I asked you last week about putting the Lorganite down along with the program that I have to put down, and 11 bags later is all set and looking super good. David McCarthy, glad I could help you with that, brother. Good luck. Good luck this Halloween. Alex Hicks, have you used Tenacity? If so, can I use it 4 weeks after overseeding, which has had its third mow? I've been watering. Alex Hicks, this is where I encourage you to read the label. Now, based on what I know about Tenacity, one of the things that makes it very unique is the fact that you can use it in your overseeding and it won't hurt your seed. But don't take my word for that. I highly recommend you read the label, so do that to double check. But to answer your question on whether or not I've used it, no, I haven't. But I have tons of reliable friends of mine in the community who have way more seniority in the lawn care space than I do, who have used Tenacity and have gotten really good results with it. So I highly recommend it. But once again, read the label and just make sure that you're in the clear to put it down. If you do that, you should be fine. I watched Pete's video. I watch Pete's videos all the time. Most smoke the entire run and start over. I hope I don't need to do that. I watch Matt's videos also. Good, Pete. So yeah, I'm not asking you to burn it down, but if you have any areas where it's coming in really bad, your best bet would be, the Pylex, or just nuke the area with Roundup and keep nuking the area with Roundup until it's officially gone. Now, according to Professor Matt, I believe that can take about 3 or 4 seasons. So Roundup probably wouldn't be the best thing unless you want to have a bare spot in your lawn for a long period of time. Peter Weber, have you ever used tenacity on seeding? If so, what is your experience overseeding turf type tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass this week in New North Carolina? Pete Weber, I just answered this a couple of seconds ago. I've never used it with my overseeding before, but based on what I'm able to pick up from it, and hearing what other YouTubers have to say about it in the community, you can use it with seeding. But once again, don't take my word for it. I've never done this before. Read the label and make sure you're good. You should be, but for the most part, you should be fine. But like I said, I don't want to give you information that's wrong. So make sure that you read the label. Thunderman. Tenacity is safe with seeding. Okay, good. Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. Alex Hicks, you're welcome. Kill Joyous. Speaking of tenacity, I used to kill a lot of Nimblewill, but now I do. But now I do with the dead. But now what do I do with the dead Nimblewill? Just hope my Kentucky bluegrass fills in. Yeah, for the most part, do that because bluegrass, if there's one thing it's good at, it's growing laterally, especially when you cut it low. Now, even if you're not cutting it low, just keep pushing it like normal, whether it's with the next products from Milorganite or Carbon X. Keep doing that and you should be fine. Because I promise you, as time goes on, that bluegrass will start to fill in via the rhizomes. Andrew Ronco, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Glad you could make it. What's up, brother? But yeah, so for those of you guys who are coming in here, I want to apologize for the setting. Usually I'm out sitting in the driveway, but tonight it's raining, so can't do that. By the way, I'm noticing I'm starting to wake up a little bit, so that's good. I'm just a little tired after school. Gotta take off early, Jake. Thanks for all the help. Check you later, Beode. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. See you next week, bro. Man, chat always gets quiet. Hang on a second, real quick. No way. They're not playing tonight. There's no freaking way. Alright, so real quick, let me go ahead and give you guys a little context to what I'm talking about. So, this weekend is homecoming weekend, so because of that, tonight was originally going to be the homecoming game, or at least that's what I think. But I saw a live stream from the school here that said they were going to be having the game. And if all goes as planned, the game will start in 10 minutes, but it's freaking pouring outside, and it's lightning, so I doubt they're going to have a homecoming game, which actually kind of sucks, because I'm a senior, and it's my last homecoming. I'm also not going to homecoming either because I missed the freaking deadline to buy the tickets. That's my fault. Procrastination. That's right, I'll admit to it, man. I could have gone, but still got formal and prom. Gotta look for the positives. Bro, I'm actually enjoying the fire for you. No reason here for almost 6 weeks and none in the forecast. Or no rain here. My reno is being hard hit in the 90s. Oh, Sandman, I know where you're coming from. It was the same with Alan and I when we did that Project Lawn last year. In fact, it got so bad to a point where, we were getting all that rain at the beginning of the month. But then, on top of that, it was also very humid because the temperatures were still in the 90s. So we were, Alan and I, we kind of had to make a judgment call, right? We originally wanted to do it when soil temperatures hit 70, but because of how, hot it was, but because of how busy our work schedules were, it was very hard to find the perfect time to do it. So what we ended up doing was, making a judgment call. We got it done that day. The soil was wet. It was a little hot in the 90s, but we got it done. And it all was well. But the biggest problem happened when the rain started to cut back. In fact, like I said, we were getting so much rain in the first week, and then 2 to 3 weeks into that overseeding being done, it stopped raining. The soil got dry and hard. But luckily, we were able to save most of the seed because Rich, the homeowner, was able to keep watering every day, which I really appreciate, man. I got to tell you, if there's one thing I liked about working with them, it's the fact that there was no off days for them and that they kept the lawn watered every day, no matter what. So, all worked out there. So, my biggest piece of advice to you, Sandman, would be to just keep watering. Now, I've actually been watching a couple of your videos on YouTube, and I got to say, your lawn, it's coming in nice, my man. I like it. But my best bet, again, would be to just keep watering it. Now, if you can, maybe get the JTLK system in there. That's right, shameless plug. Get the JTLK system in there, set it up in the areas where you want to water, and you should be fine. And as far as the water schedule goes, like I talked about earlier, that's going to be 3 times a week, half inch each time, especially when you're not getting rain help. And at this point, we got, from what I'm seeing on your channel, we got a nice somewhat established thing of turf. But now we want to start cutting back on the watering. So I like that. Procrastination is king. I'll tell you what, man. Procrastination is a curse of my life sometimes. I hate it. What? Silverback. That's it for coffee. I know. Alright, let's see what we got here. Temperature's coming down and rain is now in sight in North Carolina. Got no choice. Got to get the seeding in. Yes, David Hall, now's a great time to do that. Once again, your best bet would be to get something along the lines of ryegrass and fescue in there, because those two grass types are going to germinate faster compared to the bluegrass. And plus, where you're at, fescue is like the ideal cool season grass, as it's actually meant to be grown a little further south to deal with that heat, as it does have a deeper root system, whereas bluegrass, it doesn't. It has a shallow root system. It mostly grows laterally more than it does up and down. So yeah, your best bet would be to get fescue in there, because the fescue has a deep root system that will be able to hold on a little bit better, and it's only going to go deeper the more you encourage it, right? Which would be better for making that lawn more resilient to all that heat stress that you deal with in the summer. And of course, I don't want you to assume, if you're new here, I don't want you to assume that I don't want you to assume that because you have a deep root system, you don't have to water, because that's the total opposite. But just know that when you have a deep root system, you don't have to stress the watering as much, knowing that you have a deeper root system that goes down deeper, where the soil is cooler and wetter, which will allow it to retain moisture for longer periods of time, which also means you won't have to water as much as someone with a bluegrass lawn. So I hope that makes sense. In upstate New York, what do you think Bermuda is? What do you think is Bermuda? Is probably bent grass. Yeah, cool, man. That's a possibility. In fact, bent grass is kind of the problem grass of all of our grasses. Now, Based on what I hear about it, it's mostly used on golf course fairways because of the fact that it can look really good when you cut it low. But it's mostly when you let it get tall, it doesn't look good. It's atrocious, right? Especially when you cut its head off and you let it grow for a little bit, just it looks terrible. It's easy. It's it's a it's a big baby, if you will, right? It doesn't take a cut very well, and it just looks terrible. But yeah, unless you want a fairway, a golf course status lawn, it might work. But it's also a pain in the rear end to deal with. Like I said, not a very strong grass type. In fact, if anything, you're better off training a bluegrass. You're better off training your bluegrass at that low of a height than seeding with bent grass, because bent grass isn't all that resilient to a lot of the herbicides that we use. In fact, like tenacity, if you want to use tenacity on the lawn, it will hurt your bent grass because bent grass is considered a weed for us. So, yeah, bent grass, it's ugly. I do have it popping up here and there in lawns throughout the neighborhood. The best, like I said earlier, the best way to control that is tenacity. How tall is Alan? Alan's about 5'8". I'm about an inch taller than he is, 5'9". It's funny though. I remember 4 years ago when we used to do videos together. I used to be like 5'3", I think. So that was like right around his chest level. But now 4 years later, he comes over, we hang out. I'm literally standing like an inch taller than he is. So that's crazy how time flies like that, and the fact that I'm growing like crazy. I think I'm done though. Nose is stuffy. Sorry. Oh, God. Does bent grass spread by runners and underground? That's what I'm dealing with, and assumed it was common Bermuda. God. Excuse me 1 minute. Nose is running. All right, I'm back. God, what did I see it? Like I'm seeing these like white. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to it. I've already had the watering set up, 3 zones on 3 spigots running off the orbit timer. 3/4 inch hose is keeping it up, but it's struggling a little. And I've already backed down the water a little. Started deeper watering because I was starting to get a little ground algae. Yeah, that's what'll happen to you once you get especially when you water it so much and you keep it wet for long periods of time, especially for those of us with existing grass. I think we have it rough when we want to overseed that and we have to keep watering it every day, because then we can get fungal problems and all sorts of things. Like my lawn, one of the things I'm dealing with right now is just the oversaturation. Now, real quick, I want to give you a rundown. So you guys have seen on the channel, so far I've gotten one of the 2 overseeding videos out that I was doing. So I'm doing LCN Lawn Revival, which is right next door to me, and I'm doing my lawn. And one problem I've run into with my lawn that I'm not so, and the LCN Lawn Revival in some cases, is the fact that all of the low areas are oversaturated. In fact, they're so wet now because of all the watering I've been doing. Like, you got to keep in mind, right? When you water for when you water an hour a day, basically, when you add up all 3 waterings, it's like 30 hours in a month. And because of that, the lawn's just, whoo, man, it's freaking wet. Like I walk in it, it's like I'm walking on swampland. I mean, that wasn't the intention, but the idea was to keep it wet so the seed would grow in. Dad? I was gonna see if I could get Silver back in here for a second. I don't think he's down here though. But yeah, how Steve? How is Silverback? Would be awesome to hear from him in your lawn fires. Yes, Silverback is doing great. We're gonna have to do like a formal episode with him. I mean, we can't do it tonight because our schedules tonight, time constraints, all sorts of things. But I would like to do a formal episode with my dad. If there's anything that I need to do more, especially as a son, I gotta hang out with my dad more often. If anything, I'm lucky if I get to see him 10 minutes a day because, I get up on the weekdays, Monday to Friday. I get up, go to school, come home, go do my customer lawns, come home, do homework, maybe do a little editing, and then go up and see Silverback for like 5, 10, 15 minutes, hang out for a little bit, and then go to bed. So, I mean, it sucks that I can't see him for a long enough period of time, but that's how it is when you work hard, right? You can't always see people for the as long as you want to, but it's good to know that they're there for you, they're supporting you. So I do appreciate that. I do have them in my life. But anyway, we will have to do a formal episode together. Maybe when we're in Kentucky, because yes, to answer RBA's question, he will be coming to GIE with me. Alan and a couple other people are going to be down there too. Obviously, John Perry over at Greene County is going to be there. Matt Martin with Carbon Earth Company, right? All of those freaking guys. I can't wait to see them. It's been a while. Can't wait to chat a little business with them again. But yeah, Silverback will be there. We're going to be hanging out, having a good time. We're going to be talking about some plans for the 2019 lawn season that are really going to take Jake the Lawn Kids channel to the next level. So can't wait. How old are you? Adam, I am 17 years old. I'm going to be 18 in November. All right. Check out a little quiet. Aiden, you still in here, buddy? That's one thing my my moderator does. He'll be in here for a little bit and he'll just watch me. The Aussie from Lawn Tips is headed to GIE too. Yeah, I know. Can't wait to meet him. I'm honestly interested to hear from him because I know that their season is basically the opposite of what we deal with, right? Like it's springtime going into summer down there, right? So it's kind of interesting. They also got some different grass types that we don't really have up here, so that'll be cool to hear about. Any thoughts on overseeding zoysia with turf type tall fescue or ryegrass? Not sure if it would take since the zoysia is too thick. Scott Summer, maybe if you had a Bermuda grass lawn, I definitely recommend ryegrass because it'll go away when the Bermuda comes back in the summer. Not so much the fescue grass. I know that's what Pete's doing in his renovation, but that's just because he's working with the resources he has. He says that he's going to be overseeding his he's going to be overseeding his future Bermuda patch with his tall fescue for now, just to at least get some turf there for the winter time, and then once the summer comes, he's going to start putting the Bermuda in there. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, my best bet for you would be if you had Bermuda grass, definitely put the ryegrass in there. But zoysia, I have no clue because it is a thick grass type. I remember when I was down in Florida for a week. I don't know if you guys actually saw it, but I did do a little recap on my vacation when I went down to Florida, and I stayed at my grandpa's winter home down there, and I got to say I was really impressed with how beautiful the zoysia grass was. Now, real quick, I don't know if any of you guys know the Villages. That's where my grandfather's winter home is, in the Villages. And every lawn out there, besides the golf course greens, are zoysia lawns. And I gotta say, I really like the look and feel of zoysia. It just looks awesome. Does Dad have much lawn knowledge as well, Steve? Not as much lawn knowledge as me. I know that sounds a little arrogant there, and like I have a little bit of an ego. I know that statement has a little bit of ego, is what I meant to say. But he's very smart, my dad. good businessman. He knows a lot about the business and the industry. He's also experienced with pest control, so that's where I picked that side of lawn care up. But most of my lawn care knowledge that I've learned was basic researching on my part, and also having the influence of my old neighbor Alan. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are in here know who Alan is, the lawn care nut. We were neighbors for 10 years straight, and during that time, I've learned a lot from him. Due to my passion for lawn care, it sparked my interest in learning more, and he got me on the right path, encouraged me to start a YouTube channel, and here I am today. So that's kind of how it works out, Steve. But yeah, my dad, very knowledgeable guy, but when it comes to lawn care, he did work on the golf course. He did work on a golf course as a teenager, but he's not too scientifically involved with the products he was putting down. But he could mow a mean lawn. That's all I could say. I don't know how to word that properly, but you guys get it. Hey Jake, overseeded and aerated about 10 days ago. I have a lot of crabgrass in some areas of the yard. Should I be worried that the lawn won't be able to germinate in those areas? Let's see, I had a lot of crabgrass in some areas in the yard. Should I be worried? Should I put tenacity down? Good question. So, you had a lot of crabgrass, or you currently have it? So if you currently have it, you could put some tenacity on it, right? And get rid of it, or what I recommend is just seed it anyway. Because what I want you to keep in mind is that when the winter time comes, that annual crabgrass that's there is going to get its first freeze, and eventually it's going to freeze off and die, right? But then what your main concern has to be from that point forward are going to be the seeds that the crabgrass plant has dropped before it has died, right? So that's what we're concerned about at this point. So that's where I highly recommend that you get down a pre-emergent in the spring. Now, to explain what I'm talking about here, I recommend you go ahead and just seed it. Don't overthink it. Don't think it twice. Just seed it and see what happens. Because honestly, it's better to get some turf in there to compete with it than to have none. Because what you can do is you can get a nice turf stand in there, right? And once we get to springtime, you might have a little bit of bare areas to contend with, but I'm sure you can fill those in with proper mowing, fertilizing, and irrigation, the big three cultural practices I talk about. On top of that, you can also control those seeds that are in there preventatively with the pre-emergent application in the springtime. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth on that today because I've talked about that in previous episodes here, and I've also talked about it on the channel a lot. But we're also going to be expounding more on this as we progress into next spring. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk more about this on the live stream, and we're also going to have some companion videos on the channel as well. So stay tuned. How can I stop birds from eating most of my lawn seeds? This? Oh man, I've never dealt with this, Anthony, so I don't know, man. Just don't know. And I don't know anybody that has. How do I keep the fluoride and chlorine out of my water that goes on the lawn? Anthony J. Barton, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm no chemist. Just keep it simple and water it. It should be fine. I know that sounds like I know it sounds like I don't care about the issue, but I do. It's just, I'm not going to go that scientific. I'm not going to get that scientifically involved because honestly, we can't control that, right? The water we get is the water we get. We can't throw a fit about it, right? Peat moss. Peat moss is a moisture retainer. By the way, for all the commenters out there who always say that I talk like I have no tongue or whatever, here's why. Check this out. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a. I'm not going to show that to you. That's pretty disgusting. But I have a. I have a retainer in my mouth because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my teeth straightened, and then eventually I'm going to get braces. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, teeth are much straighter than they were at the beginning of 2018 when I got this thing, but because I have it in here, it's hard for my tongue to touch the roof of my mouth, and because of that, it makes certain enunciations like this a lot harder to say more clearly, and because of that, you know, it sounds like I don't have a tongue, but I do. See? Look. But anyway, you guys get it. Once that gets out of my mouth, I'll be able to enunciate again. I know it annoys some of you guys. A lot of clover in my turf-type tall fescue backyard. I aerated and overseeded, and it's coming in well. Should I leave the clover alone or get rid of it now? Let's see. A lot of clover in my turf-type tall fescue yard. Scott Summer, there are a couple of things you can do. So I want you to know this, okay? How many days are you into it? So if it's coming in well, here's what I recommend you do. Again, like I talked about in the last video, when you're overseeding with tall fescue, specifically Pete's Blend, or let's just go off of Pete's Blend, right? Let's say you seeded with Pete's GCI turf-type tall fescue, which germinates in about 5 days. From there, it's going to take about 25 to 30 days to get fully established. So that's why I recommend that from the day of seeding to the end of your watering cycle, I recommend you make that period at least 30 days to make sure that things get fully established. And then once you get there, you know, give the grass a couple more weeks, you know, dial back on the watering, do what you got to do, like I talked about earlier. And then once we get, what was I going to say? And then once we get later in the season, you can actually go ahead and spray those weeds if you want to. Because if there's one thing I touched on in my how to spray weeds video, which Aiden, if you could link that in the description below, buddy, that would be much appreciated. How to spray weeds video that I did just this year. One of the things I expounded on in that video was when you spray weeds in the winter time, it's actually more effective because one thing that not only your weeds are doing, but also really any plant for that matter, it's instead of focusing its energy on pushing more growth, it's going to focus more of its energy on sucking up all of the nutrients it can to store over the winter. So if you get to the weeds sometime in the fall, it's probably going to be more effective as all of those nutrients it's sucking up, including that herbicide that you're applying, is going to allow it to penetrate the plant easier, thus giving you a more complete kill. Now, once again, Aiden, if you're in here, buddy, please link it. If not, buddy, just go check out my video. Hey, Courtney. Just go check out my video about how to spray weeds. I expound on this topic and I talk about some good times to spray as well as how to go about spraying weeds. So go check that out if you haven't. I think it was John Perry or Matt Martin made a good point that the birds aren't after your seed. Once you get things back on a regular cycle and the grass is fully established, which by 5 or 6 weeks it should be, you can go ahead and spray the weeds. Because like I said, the plant's main priority at this point isn't going to be pushing any more growth. It's going to be sucking up all of the nutrients that it can to store over the winter to use in the following year when it's time to grow again, right? So great time to use weed killers as we're heading out of the season here to give you a more direct, complete kill. Half-inch pretty thick, half-inch thick pretty much like a layer over it, and I have had no problems, and seeds love for keeping them wet. Yep. Someone told me to get a Canyon, a water one, and come in. Wait, what? Someone told me to get a Canyon, a water, one when they come get it, Silkson. I just seeded 4,000 square feet on 4 dirt, no covering. That's whatsoever, no issue with birds. Check my vids, you can see the results there. Yeah, I encourage you guys, go check out Sandman. He's actually documenting the whole process, which I thoroughly enjoy about that, because when I have a lot of you new people in here, or those of you newer YouTubers in the community here who are showing your progressions or your process of some of the projects you're doing, it actually educates me a little bit more because I want you guys to know, I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to lawn care, but I only have enough to get me so far, as I only have experience taking care of my lawn, Alan's lawn next door, and a couple of lawns in the vicinity. Other than that, I really don't have experience with every situation. So, yeah, I appreciate those of you guys who are doing that. But yeah, go check out Sandman. As he's dealing with a lot of these issues, he'll be able to show you a little bit more visual representation of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna get comfortable. Chat's awfully quiet. Here, hang on. I know something that'll bring you guys back. One second. That bringing you back? I want it dark. I've tried a lot of ironite. Never works. I guess my grass is always dark. What's next? The next spray. Let's see. Need iron for my lawn. Terry Davis, great product for that. Any of the fertility products from the Green County Next line, like the 1801 Green Punch, the 1901 Green, the 901 Green Start, 16, no, not that product. 002 Microgreen, definitely the 700 Green Effect. That's the main purpose of that product, as it does contain an abundance of iron, about 6 to 7%. Tom Letzler, yeah, man, I love playing the saxophone. I've been playing it since 6th grade, man. I love it. In fact, I've played mine since college. You know what? Let's have a little fun here. I got it out right now. Let's see if I can play something. I won't bore you guys too much with this, but I know I got some of you guys out there who at least want to hear something, right? Here, let's see. Do this quickly, right? Nope, wrong note. Why does ironite never work? And I missed the audio thanks to impatient people. Oh, what are you talking about? I'm back for sax just in time. Yeah, man. see what we can do here. Any requests? I'm just kidding. Let's see. By the way, don't mind this. Those of you guys who are coming in, don't mind this. Just decoration. Here. I'm waiting for people to come in here. What happened to the chat here? Man, did the chat give out again? Down to 23? Why does Iron Knight never work? And I... What? What happened? Everything good? Why is the comment so quiet already? People must have stuff to do tonight. Let's hear some of that cool jazz. Let's see. Alright. What's up, Jake? Sorry I'm late. Better later than never. Just chilling by the fire with the kids. Awesome, bro. Hang on. I don't know. I'm just fooling around. Bringing me back. I kept mine in my case for my three boys. Bringing me back. Yeah, I kept mine in my case. Any of my three boys pick it up. Yeah, man. It's awfully quiet. Let's see. I don't know what's fun. Let's see what we got here. Anything coming in yet? I overseeded a week ago, and now the leaves are falling. Any thoughts on removing them without damaging the germination process? Okay. Leaves are falling, so I guess my best advice to you would be to just mow it when you can. Now, I want you to know, real quick, Shane Mitchell, if you don't mind telling me, how bad is the leaf cover? Is it thick? Is it thin? And what is the severity of your situation? Are you seeding an existing lawn? Are you seeding a bare lawn? Because then I can go into further in depth and maybe help you figure out what we can do to fix that. Yeah. I have the same problem now. I don't want to kill the baby grass. This is tough. Let's see. I overseeded a week ago, and now the leaves are falling. Any thoughts on removing them without damaging the germination? Okay. So let me think about this here. Come play to my seed. Come serenade your seeds. It's getting pretty covered, and yes, I overseeded existing lawn. Okay, so if you overseeded your existing lawn, at this point, I talked about in the video that if you do have any seeds in your lawn, the best thing to do is to wait at least 2 weeks until you can actually mow it, because by around that point, the grass seed is going to be a little more mature, and on top of that, that doesn't mean that you can necessarily start business as usual like I talked about in the video, but you can at least get on there and start mowing it. Now, if the leaf cover is bad enough to the point where it's actually going to choke out the seed, then this is where I would just say break the rule and get out there and pick it up, right? If anything, get on there with your push mower, right? We don't want to get any weight on there with a riding mower or whatever, but if you have to do that, that's what you got to do. But whatever you do, just make sure that you're quick with it, right? Don't stay on the lawn too long. In fact, cut it just one time. Be ginger with it. Get on, get off, and you should be fine. No problem, Brett. Manal TV. Thanks, bro. Bow. That's from mine. Great words on that. But yeah, if you have to, break the rule. Because here's how I want you to think about it. If you have leaves in your lawn, right, and they're to a point where they can possibly choke out the new seed, I know I don't recommend mowing it within a week. But if you have to get the leaves off, right, just know that you're doing it for the good of the majority of your lawn. You might be sacrificing a little bit, but honestly, it's going to be good because you're going to get all those leaves off and you won't have to worry about anything choking it out. Now from here, definitely wait until week 2 before you mow it again. And then once you do get to week 2, you can also start mowing it regularly, so it'll be easier to keep the leaves under control. What are your thoughts on grow lights for the lawn? I don't know. I don't even know what that is. I'll have to look into that. Let's see what we got here. I've been holding off on aeration and overseeding due to the high temperatures and no rain. Is there a point at which I should give up on aeration and overseeding for the year because it will get cold quick? Well, Tom Letzler, I mean, it's really up to you in this case. You really don't have to. I mean, we tell you to do it because it's a good idea if you have a thin lawn to thicken it up in the fall and take advantage of that. Or if you have a thick lawn, it's a great idea to go ahead and overseed, as it will help thicken up the existing, as it will help, introduce some new cultivars into the lawn that might be a little more advanced, which will be, better, which will be able to tolerate the environmental problems that we deal with on a day-to-day basis a little bit better than some of the older varieties you have in there. But yeah, if you want to skip and you have a fairly thick lawn, you should be fine. But if you do want to do a little supplemental irrigation on your end of things to get the soil soft enough, then you should be fine. In fact, you really don't have to core aerate. You really don't have to. You can use the liquid aerate product that I've been recommending. In fact, some of the benefits you'll get from that, and I've been telling a lot of people about this, and I want you guys to understand the benefits of this product, right? It's not snake oil, I promise you that. I've seen what it can do. So, here's how I want you to think about it. When you mechanically aerate your lawn, in fact, I was just talking with Aiden about this the other day. In fact, he's actually got a video coming out about this, about mechanical versus liquid. So I highly recommend you check that out, coming out later this weekend. So, when it comes to mechanical aeration, I want you to realize that obviously you have a machine with hollow tines that'll go about 3 to 4 inches into the ground and pull plugs about that long, right? Whereas with liquid aeration, you're spraying it evenly across the area, and then from there it can get down in the ground and start doing a little more work. So here's the problem with mechanical aeration. While it's beneficial, one problem you're going to run into is the fact that you're very limited on what you can do. The first reason I say that is because with mechanical aeration, you're opening up the ground, but you're only opening up about 20% of the soil surface area. And on top of that, you're pretty much and on top of that, while those tines will open up the soil, it's only, to a deep length of 3 to 4 inches. That's really only enough to get you so far. Now, the reason that's important is because, when we open the soil, we want to go as deep as possible. And with the aerate product, what can help is that, with the aerate product, what can help is the fact that sky's the limit with it. Whereas, like I said, with the mechanical aerator, you're limited on what you can do. But with the liquid aerate product, what it's going to do is when you apply it, you're going to be able to apply it in an even blanket as it is a liquid, which means that it will penetrate and coat 100% of the soil surface area, giving you more effective results. And on top of that, as far as depth, as far as how deep it can go, sky's the limit because it's a liquid product. Once you water it in, it's just going to start diving down deep and opening that soil up and allowing more air, water, and nutrient penetration to thus promote more root growth. So that is why I recommend liquid versus mechanical. It will help you out a lot. Jake, I gotta jump, bro. Thanks for everything. See you around. Sandman, thank you for tuning in, brother. Glad I could help you. I saw Ryan Knorr's liquid aeration video. Hard to argue with his results. I do believe it works, but given all my bare spots, I will need to cover all of that seed. Wow, it's really coming down out there, huh? I saw liquid aeration video. It was hard to argue with his results, so I do believe it works, but given all my bare spots, I will need something to cover all that seed. Yeah, Tom Letzler, if you go back and watch my video on the channel, in fact, Aiden, while you're in here, can you link to it? All about, where I talk about fall lawn care basics, more specifically the materials that you need for fall lawn seeding. One of the things I touch on in there are seed coverings. Now, seed coverings will come in handy if you're seeding any lawn that's thin or has any bare areas throughout, as it will help hold that seed in place so it doesn't wash away. So Aiden, if you could link to that, I'd really appreciate it, bro. So, dude. What's up, Benjamin? Mark Hammett, welcome. Man, it's really getting wet up here. Yeah, we better close that. Whoa! Yeah, we'll close that. Leave it cracked open just a bit. Aiden, hey Jake, I bought my house this spring and the lawn was horrible. Wouldn't a mechanical aerator pull up more weed seeds? Yeah, that's another thing, because liquid aeration, you don't have to worry about bringing anything to the top, right? All you do is apply it and it dives down deep and does its job. Whereas mechanical aeration, it is, opening up the ground to more air, water, nutrient, but you're also holding the risk of bringing up any weed seeds that might be at that depth. So that's another thing to think about. I'm here. I did not fall asleep on you. I appreciate it, man. Just got to keep it real. install an irrigation system for next year. Yeah, man. So, by the way, real quick, speaking of irrigation system, I was actually at my, I actually went and dropped off my last giveaway gift today. For those of you guys who've been watching the channel, you guys know that I announced the 4 winners of my fall giveaway already, so that's done. So any of you guys who are commenting about, hey, I want to win the giveaway, I want you to know that I want you guys to know, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say, man? Damn it, I hate when that happens. Oh yeah, so I dropped off my spreader to the winner, and what's funny is that when I picked the winner, he actually happened to be right in the area, so I was able to drive a couple of minutes up the road and deliver the spreader to him personally. Filmed a little video there that'll be coming out on Monday, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so what's nice about this is that this is the same guy. I don't know if any of you guys pay attention to the comments much, but this is the same guy who's been commenting on my live stream saying, hey Jake, you know, I love what you're doing. I see what you're doing with the sprinkler system. I actually happen to have a couple of those Orbit sprinklers that you're using, and because I'm doing an entire ground-up restore or renovation on my lawn, putting in an irrigation system, you can have my old Orbit sprinkler. So I was able to take home a couple of souvenirs, which was nice, and overall just meet another great member of our community. So Matt, if you're in the chat, I just want to say it was really cool to meet you. I planted some Thuja emeralds. Any tips on how to make sure they establish correct? I made the root ball. I made sure that the root ball is about an inch above the soil grade and lightly mulched around the base. Pedro Salas, my best bet to you, all that's great, but if you want to take the establishment to another level, or maybe even enhance the overall quality of that plant, you can use a liquid fertility product from the Next line specifically for trees and shrubs, and that is going to be the 402 Florigreen product. Now what I like about this product, again, is that like all of John's products over there, it does contain a little bit of humic acid, which will help chelate those nutrients and make them more readily available to the plant. And on top of that, it's just a great fertilizer. It's juiced with so many goodies in there. You got the humic, you got the fulvic, the sea kelp, just all sorts of good things that are going to, you know, help chelate nutrients and feed that tree and give it everything it needs. So yeah, that's what I could recommend to you. So Aiden, if you could leave a link to the RGS and the 402, buddy, that'd be appreciated. So they can get themselves a nice deal there. Bill Clinton played and look what happened to him. I'm not looking to recreate any of that stuff. That's awfully quiet. My grass just grew an inch. Well, let's make it grow another inch. Let's see what we got here. Is there any good ones? got some work to do there. Got to check out now. Thanks for the answers and enjoy your weekend. I will, Scott Summer. Thank you for tuning in, brother. Just waiting for some comments to come in here. I'm no natural. I want you guys to know that. I'm no professional sax player. Just know that. But second year in the jazz band, I'm still learning how to do it. Are you invested in Bitcoin? I'm not going to get into that. Yeah? Almost. Why? I'm still on it. Check what out? Alright. Alright, that's enough for one night. Put that away. Alright, well I think that's going to be a great place to end it. I would stay on a little bit longer, but I got stuff to do. I know that sounds crazy, but I really do. I got an edit I got to get done before Sunday, and I got homework to do over the weekend, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here. But first, Jerry Davis wants to know, what do you think about SureCan? I think they're a game changer in the industry. They take durability to a new level when it comes to gas cans. I've seen people throw them off the roofs of buildings, run over it with their trucks, and they've held up. So SureCan's really good. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here now. With all that being said, I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys this Monday with a new video. If I don't see you guys this Monday, your lawn is going to be dominated. See you later. What?
Are you done?
Yeah.
There's maggots all over the garbage.